welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's recipe is very special because it's one of my favorites. It's something I've been making all the time during this lockdown, especially just I can't get enough of it. It's a Chole Tikki Chaat, and it's because I just had chaat cravings and I really wanted a ragda patties, but I didn't have all the ingredients, so I came up with this one. Super easy, super simple. I don't make this the traditional way. I don't know if you've been following me on Instagram. I post a lot of what I'm cooking over there. If you aren't following me, please do. I share a lot of behind the scenes as well. So if you've seen how I've posted in the past, especially when I post online, I don't make it the traditional way. So this is not an Amritsari Chole or a Pindi Chole. And if you want to understand the difference between the two, also if you want to get all the quantities and the exact recipe, I'm going to link the blog post which has all the details. I'll put it in the description box below so you can go through that once before you make the recipe. I've got two components to this recipe. So actually it's two recipes in one almost. One part is the tikki, it's just an aloo tikki, but again I do mine a little bit different. And the second part is the chole. You can make these two individually and serve it as you like, but I think it's fun just having it together and making it like a little bit chaat-like. So I hope you like this recipe. If you do, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave me a comment. I always want to hear what you guys have to say, and I hope you enjoy cooking. First, we're going to start by boiling the chickpeas. I'm going to use my pressure cooker. To that, I have added a little bit of salt. I'm using rock salt, but any salt. Just a pinch of turmeric powder. I like it because I like it to give it a light color. I know a lot of people at this point add a tea bag to give it this dark brown color. I don't like to do that, but you can if you want to. You just seal it up, cook it for about 12 minutes, and this is what it looks like once it's done. I've just taken a potato masher to gently mash up some of the chickpeas, and then we're going to keep it aside and work on the next component. In a mixing bowl, I've added my boiled potatoes. I've also added just a little bit of chopped onion, and then I've taken my potato masher and I've mashed it down firmly. I would suggest doing this while the potatoes are slightly warm so that they mash easier. To this, I've added all the rest of the ingredients, some chopped coriander and a little more of the onion. I think it gives it great texture. To this, I add all the other spices. I've added some salt, coriander powder, cumin powder, some red chili powder, a little bit of haldi for color or turmeric, and then I've mixed it all together. Ideally, you need to get your hands dirty at this point and start mixing with both hands. The mixture is quite soft, so it's easy to mold. A lot of people like to add breadcrumbs or dredge these patties in corn flour or in some sort of flour batter. I don't. I just roll them into patties as is. What I do like to do is wet my hands or just add a little bit of water to the mixture so it makes it easier to bind. And then with two hands, I just form flat patties. I try to make them a little flat and not completely round so that they crisp up on both sides. And I would usually just put these all in a plate, line them all up, and then put it in the refrigerator for a minimum of 30 to 40 minutes before I fry them. Now we get started on the gravy base for our chole or for our chickpeas. To my pan, I've added oil, the ginger garlic paste, and the chopped onions. Mix that around a bit. Then I've added in all the other spices, and this one in particular is the most important. It is a chole masala spice mix. You just buy it from the market. I swear by this. Of course, you can make your own. You could Google it and you'll have a ton of recipes, but I just think this ready-made powder is so convenient, and I add heaps of it. I think it has a lot of flavor. Just keep mixing it and cook it around for another, say, minute and a half till the masala mixes. And you can easily add a little bit of water because it's going to get dry at this point. So you need to add a little bit more water so that it all mixes well together and the masalas cook. To this, I add my chopped onions and I just let it cook around for another, say, 4 to 5 minutes. I do at this stage keep adding a little bit of water and I don't add too much all at one go because this is the part where you're trying to thicken the gravy and it does take a little bit of patience, so you need to be careful. I just keep adding little bits of water, say maybe quarter cup at a time or 1/4 cup at a time, and I let it cook out completely till some of the water burns, and then you can see as I pull back with the spoon, it started to dry out again. So at this point I would add more water and just keep cooking it till it thickens. You don't have to do this, but once again, I like to take the potato masher and just gently mush down those tomatoes because that takes the longest to break down. The onions have already sort of disintegrated and moved into this gravy format. You don't have to do it, but you can. Now I'd start adding the cooked chickpeas from our pressure cooker. What I like to do is I like to first add the chickpeas themselves, or the chole. Do not discard the water because we're going to add all of that into this eventually. Once you've added all the chickpeas, just cook it around for another minute, and then you can add the rest of the water that they were boiled in. It has so much flavor, and we've already salted that water, so we don't need to salt this again. Even the masala base had a little bit of salt, so your seasoning is perfect. I would cook this for another, say, 15 minutes or maybe 10 minutes, and then you'll see that this gravy starts to thicken ever so slightly. It's not a goopy thick gravy, but it's perfect because it's going to coat your tikkis beautifully. Now that the chole is all done, the last component is cooking the tikkis before assembling. So just grease your pan with a little bit of oil and then place your tikkis flat down. I cook them for 10 minutes, 5 on each side. As you can see, when I start moving them with the back of my spatula, that means that it started to crisp up on one side. So then I would use 2 instruments to help flip it. You do need to be really careful at this point because there's no binding, there's no breadcrumbs or anything, so it is very, very fragile. So when you do flip it over, just flip it over once and do it ever so gently so that you don't break the tikkis. I would suggest using 2 spoons or 2 spatulas to carefully flip it over, and that's all it needs. Now that both your components are done, you can eat the tikkis at this point as is. You could just slather them with some lovely chutney or sauce and they'd be perfect. But I cannot wait to make my chole tikki. So this is what I do. I like to use a bowl so that it's easier to eat. I would place the tikki and then just spoon a nice heap full of that lovely spicy chole gravy mixture. I know a lot of people like to add some imli or sweet chutney or a little bit of green spicy chutney. I don't. I just add some more freshly chopped onion and coriander, and I swear to God, this is all it needs. It is so incredibly perfect. It's a great meal. It's a great snack. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. So this is it. This is my recipe for my style of chole tikki. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you do, please do subscribe to my channel for more recipes like this, and once the lockdown is over, a lot more travel videos as well. If you like this recipe, please do give it a big fat thumbs up. Leave me a comment if you can. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you guys soon.